Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. Now we start with the latest in West Asia. Israeli forces unleash strikes at military sites in Tartus region in western Syria. It was reportedly the heaviest strike in the area in over a decade. Israeli warplanes targeted Syria's air defense units and surface-to-surface missile depots. The Israeli military also launched as many as 61 strikes in Syria in less than 5 hours. The Israeli government is set to double the population of the occupied Golan Heights. The Israeli authorities unanimously approved the $11 million plan. The amount will be used for the demographic development of the region. The announcement came a week after the former President Bashar al-Assad's ouster from Syria. Rebel leader Abu Muhammad Al-Jolani has criticized Israel for its incursion into southern Syria. Jolani, however, added that Syria was too exhausted for a fresh conflict. The rebel leader said Israelis have already crossed the disengagement lines. This after Israeli troops seized the UN-patrolled buffer zone on the Golan Heights. Continuing with Abu Muhammad Al-Jolani, the rebel leader met the visiting UN envoy Geir Pedersen in Damascus. Now, the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or the HTS leader, has discussed the transition in Syria with the envoy. The motive behind the meeting was to discuss an amendment in a 2015 UN Security Council resolution. The resolution designated Al-Nusra Front, the rebel group's parent organization, as a terrorist outfit. Meanwhile, the new Damascus government has called to lift sanctions on Syria. The appeal was supported by the United Nations envoy. A report says the former Syrian president Bashar al-Assad's regime dispatched around $250 million in cash to Moscow. The cash was sent via airplanes between 2018 and 2019 and deposited at sanctioned Russian banks. The banknotes were flown at a time when Syria lacked foreign currencies. The transfers highlight the deepening financial ties between the two countries, isolated by the West. The chief of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, General Hossein Salami, has launched a stern warning for Israel. Salami said that Israel would pay a heavy price and would be buried in Syria. The comments came amid Israel's ongoing strikes in the country. He added that Syrians were living with dignity when Iran's military presence was over there. But since they left after the fall of Assad, terrible incidents have been happening. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on a call. Both leaders discussed the conflicts in West Asia. During the phone call, Netanyahu emphasized Israel's need to ensure victory against Hamas. They also discussed the recent push for a ceasefire in the Gaza region. Now, Netanyahu also discussed the political transition in Syria and said that he was not looking for a conflict with the country. Israel has announced it will shut its embassy in Ireland. Ties between the two countries have frayed over Israel's war in Gaza. Ireland backs the recognition of an independent Palestinian state. It also supports the genocide case file against Israel at the International Court of Justice by South Africa. Israel says the decision to close the diplomatic mission was in light of Dublin's extreme anti-Israel policies. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed the situation in Syria with the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy. During the call, Blinken said that the U.S. will back an accountable and representative government. Meanwhile, Britain has also declared $63 million as humanitarian aid for Syria. Lammy has said that the UK will support Syria for better governance in the future. A Russian oil tanker sank in the Black Sea, threatening a massive ecological crisis in the region. The ship sank during a heavy storm yesterday. At least one person was reported dead in the incident. The sunken tank spilled over 4,000 tons of oil into the Black Sea. Russian President Vladimir Putin has set up a committee to mitigate the impact of the oil spill. Meanwhile, a second oil tanker also suffered massive damage but was saved from sinking. And Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was discharged from hospital on Sunday. He underwent an emergency brain surgery in a Sao Paulo hospital. In his first remarks after the surgery, President Lula da Silva said, and I quote, "I defend the right to live up to 120 years." And Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sri Lankan President Anura Kumar Dissanayake have met at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi. The MOUs were exchanged in the presence of both leaders. Dissanayake chose India over China as the destination of his first overseas trip after coming to power earlier this year. The leader of South Korea's ruling party has stepped down. Han Dong-hoon was the chief of the South Korea's ruling People's Power Party. His resignation comes 2 days after President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment. Han faced backlash from his party for backing the impeachment vote, but he said he had no regret in doing so. Bangladesh's interim leader, Muhammad Yunus, has announced the election schedule. He said that polling might either be held late next year or early 2026. Yunus took over the country's as chief advisor after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's ouster. Yunus, who is currently leading the caretaker government, has been facing mounting pressure to set an election date. And 7 tourists were hospitalized in a suspected case of alcohol poisoning at a South Pacific nation of Fiji. Among the 7, 4 of them were Australians and 1 was an American national. The tourists fell ill after drinking a cocktail at a resort in the south coast of Viti Levu Island. The resort said that an investigation is currently underway. And now bringing you some climate updates. Cyclone Chido tore through the French island territory of Mayotte over the weekend. The storm brought winds of over 220 kilometers per hour. Footage from the island shows widespread devastation, with damaged homes, government buildings, and overturned containers. The government has reported just 14 deaths so far, but a senior official said that the actual figure could be in the hundreds or even thousands. Meanwhile, Cyclone Chido continued into northern Mozambique, and it led to at least 3 deaths in the East African nation. The cyclone brought strong winds and heavy rain, destroying several buildings. More than 2,800 people were given shelter on Pemba Island in the nation. In the U.S., a tornado struck Scotts Valley in Northern California over the weekend. As per reports, it injured at least 4 people and caused significant damage. Meanwhile, extreme weather wreaked havoc across the U.S. Midwest and Northeast. An ice storm hit Iowa and Nebraska, and heavy snow buried upstate New York. In India's capital, New Delhi, temperatures dropped to 4.5 degrees Celsius. The air quality also slipped to the very poor category with AQI above 300. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a cold wave alert for several North Indian states. Rescue teams from Thailand's Border Patrol Police have been working tirelessly to assist flood victims in the Champon province. Residents waded through waist-high waters while armored vehicles navigated submerged roads. The floods have severely disrupted travel, with several sections of Asian Highway 41% completely cut off. And on to business and tech news now. The price of new homes in China fell by 0.1% in November this year. This is the slowest pace of housing price decline that the nation has seen in the past 1.5 years. It provides a small hope to the Chinese property sector, which has been marred by weak demand and high debt. China has rolled out several stimulus packages to help the crisis-hit property sector. The cryptocurrency Bitcoin surged past the $106,000 mark today. The virtual currency jumped over 3% to reach a new record value. This comes after the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump suggested creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the U.S. Bitcoin has surged over 192% this year, banking on Trump's victory in the U.S. election. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has reportedly discussed plans to privatize the U.S. Postal Service. The government-owned courier agency reported losses of about $9.5 billion in the last financial year. Reports say that when Trump was informed about these losses, he said the government should not subsidize the organization. The Trump transition team has reportedly planned to scrap the car crash reporting requirement. The rule requires self-driving car makers and driver assistance technology firms to report certain crashes. The new Department of Government, led by Elon Musk, has reportedly asked the president-elect to end the rule. Reports say Elon Musk's Tesla will significantly benefit from the move. And workers at the American oil refinery Marathon Petroleum have voted to ratify a wage agreement. The 7-year deal ends a 3-month strike by the Marathon's workers. However, the company did not reveal the details of the agreement. The U.S. Treasury Department has reportedly informed Japan's Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel about the merger. Now, the department said that the panel reviewing the deal is split and has not reached an agreement. The deal is being reviewed by the U.S. Committee on Foreign Investment. The committee, which reviews foreign investment in the U.S., has extended the deadline to approve or block the deal. And the founder of the Spanish fast fashion chain Mango, Isaac Andic, has died at the age of 71. He fell down a ravine while hiking in caves near Barcelona. The Turkish-born businessman founded Mango in 1984. The firm has grown to include 3,000 outlets in 120 countries with an estimated value of $4.5 billion. And Australia's markets watchdog has sued the banking giant HSBC. It accuses the bank of failing to protect its customers from scams. The bank received about 950 reports of unauthorized transactions between 2020 and 2024. The regulator says HSBC's Australian customers lost about $14.6 million in these scams. India reportedly exported about $2.4 billion worth of smartphones in November of this year. The number surpassed all previous export records. It is about 90% higher compared to Indian smartphone exports in November of 2023. Apple's iPhones constitute a large part of these shipments, followed by Samsung. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup, xAI, has rolled out the latest version of its chatbot, Grok 2, for free. It will be available for users of Musk's social media platform X. So far, the platform's premium and Premium Plus subscribers have had access to the chatbot. And moving on to sports, and we start with cricket. Day 3 of the third test match between India and Australia in Brisbane was marred due to frequent spells of rain. Australia have scored 445 runs in the inaugural innings of the match. In response, India were playing their first innings on day 3. Bad lights forced umpires to call early stumps. The 5-match series remains tied at 1-1. India's pacer Jasprit Bumrah was targeted with a racist remark during Day 2 of the third Test match against Australia. The remark came from the former England cricketer Issa Guha. Now, Guha has referred to Bumrah as a primate while speaking about his bowling prowess. The English cricketer turned commentator has since apologised for her remark. India beat West Indies by 49 runs in the first clash of their 3-match Women's T20 International Series. Batting first, India scored 195 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. In response, West Indies could score only 146 runs in their 20 overs. India's Jamimia Rogers has been named player of the match for her 73-run knock, and the hosts now lead the T20 series 1-0. In football news, Manchester United prevailed over Manchester City 2-1 in a Premier League derby. City's Joško Vardiol scored the opening goal in the 36th minute. United struck late in the game with a penalty strike from Bruno Fernandes, which took the scoreline to 1-1. And United's Amad Diallo scored the winner just when the final whistle was blown. Tottenham Hotspur crushed Southampton 5-0 in the Premier League. James Maddison opened Tottenham's account in the first minute of the game. Captain Song Hae-min and midfielder Dejan Kulusevski had followed through to take Tottenham's tally to 3-0. Pape Matar Sarr then struck the back of the net in the 25th minute, and Maddison struck again at half-time to wrap up the match. And Chelsea beat Brentford 2-1 in the Premier League. Chelsea's Marc Cucurella had scored the opening goal just before half-time. Nicholas Jackson then extended Chelsea's lead 2-0 in the 80th minute, and Brian Mbeumo then salvaged for Brentford with a last-minute goal to take the scoreline to 2-1. But Chelsea were not done yet, as Cucurella then struck the back of the net in extra time. However, a red card verdict by the referee disallowed the goal. In badminton, Chinese shuttler Chan Siwei announced his retirement. The 27-year-old said he does not want to be defined as an Olympic champion. The three-time world champion said, and I quote, "Achieving more titles holds little appeal to me." And it was homecoming for the new chess world champion Gukesh Damaraju. The 18-year-old Indian was garlanded and surrounded by supporters as he exited Chennai airport. Gukesh said that support from his fans filled him with energy. Gukesh defeated China's Ding Lishen last week to become the youngest ever chess world champion. And Daniel Ricciardo appears to have confirmed his Formula One retirement. The Red Bull veteran was asked if he was joining the American team Cadillac. The 35-year-old responded with, and I quote, "No, I am done." The Australian driver was axed from Red Bull following an 18th place finish in the Singapore Grand Prix in September. And Max Verstappen suggested that he will stay with Red Bull forever. In an interview, the Dutchman said, and I quote, "It would be very beautiful if you could stay with one team and race there forever." Verstappen has won 4 Formula One World Drivers' Championship titles for Red Bull. And moving on to some news from the world of showbiz, Indian tabla virtuoso Zakir Hussain has passed away at the age of 73. He breathed his last in a hospital in the US. According to his family, he died due to lung complications. The 73-year-old musician had been hospitalized for the past 2 weeks. Hussain was celebrated globally as a tabla player, percussionist, composer, and actor. The woman who accused rapper Jay-Z of raping her has admitted inconsistencies in her reports. She stated that not all the faces are clear in her recollection. After this, the rapper's attorney is planning to take action against her. An object was thrown at Billie Eilish during her performance in Arizona over the weekend. However, she continued to perform despite the incident. She was singing the track, "What Was I Made For?" from the film Barbie. Now, Eilish is currently on her Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour. Rapper Drake has announced that he will give $10,000 to his lookalike contest winner in Toronto. This was unexpected for the organizers, as they were not hoping the rapper's contribution. The event was to honor the rapper's art. And Paul McCartney returned to Northern England for 2 electrifying concerts in Manchester, marking his first UK show since handling Glastonbury in 2022. Performances, part of his Got Back tour, showcased hits spanning his Beatles days, Wings era, and solo career. The tour began in 2022 and has traveled through the US, Australia, and Latin America. Actor Jamie Foxx suffered injuries after someone threw a glass at him. This happened during his birthday dinner in California over the weekend. According to reports, the actor was embroiled in an altercation with a person sitting at the next table. The police later registered a case. Kelly Riley has bid farewell to Yellowstone after 7 years. She will be seen in the finale episode of the show. The actress shared the news with her fans on Instagram. She said, and I quote, "Words cannot convey how I feel about the people I got to work and create with over the seasons." And Sony's Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor-Johnson as Spider-Man's infamous foe, stumbled out of the gate with a dismal $11 million debut. It marked the worst opening in Sony's universe of Marvel characters. It even fell short of February's flop, Madame Web, which earned nearly $15 million. And Netflix has renewed season 2 of the same-sex Japanese dating reality show The Boyfriend. This comes after a Japanese high court ruled the country's ban on same-sex marriage unconstitutional. The first season of The Boyfriend debuted this year on the 9th of July. And finally, actor and comedian Pete Davidson, in an interview, stated that he doesn't want to be seen as a loser who just dates people. The actor wants to be known for his work. Davidson has previously dated women like Kim Kardashian, Ariana Grande, and Kate Beckinsale. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Garland and you're watching First.